And I'd like to welcome to the stage Aaron Thompson, CRO of Success Coaching. We're going to talk customer experience, customer success, customer service. What the heck? What's the difference? Come on up.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome, Aaron.
Oh, come on. Good morning, everybody. Here we go. I am between you and lunch. I know it. I will be quick, I promise. Sean and I can get this done in well under 29 minutes. Happy to be here. Thanks so much. Sean, I guess you take it away here, huh?
Well, why don't we start with a little more of an introduction?
Sure. So my name is Aaron Thompson. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at a company called Success Coaching. We have certifications. We're a training and education company in customer success management. And we have a lot of overlap into the CX world, of course. I also sit on a couple of CX boards and get to kind of find that intersection between the customer success organizations and function and the customer experience side of things as well. And that's what we're here to talk about today. I also have a public speaking business called Red Slacks. Get it? Yeah. So if you're curious, I've got written articles. This will be up there. Anytime I do public speaking, it's all free, all out there, just to try to help educate and help people be successful in customer success and customer experience. So I'm really excited to be here. Hail from Portland, Oregon. Have to go home tonight. I wish I had a chance to hang out in Vancouver and enjoy your beautiful city a little bit more, but I've got to get back to the fam.
So kind of red slacks and blue jackets.
There we go.
That way. All right.
Yeah. CX for rocks and red slacks.
Well, we talked about it in the intro, right? There's customer fill in the blank afterwards, and there's a lot of opinions around what each of those, the roles are in organizations, and sometimes there's actually, things are called one thing, but they really probably are something else. So how would you define, and how do you define those three areas, customer experience, customer success, customer service?
Absolutely. Let me start with customer success. And when I found this industry about 8 years ago, I had been working in customer-facing roles my whole career. I found myself laid off for the first time in my life, didn't know what I was going to do next. I had been running a support team, and I found a head of customer success job open at a kind of struggling startup. They wanted someone to fix the churn problem. And so I was able to get that job. And I thought, I know what this thing is. It's like customer support 2.0 or account management on steroids, but maybe I should Google it just because why not? I'm the head of it. Lo and behold, I found the whole industry. There's technology players, there's communities, there's networks, and all these things. And so I started studying it, and luckily I found a very simple formula for defining what success is, and that's really the beginning of customer success. It comes down to the definition of success is your desired outcome plus your desired experience. My little chicken brain, I could wrap my head around that. Give me what I want, and give it to me how I want it. ROI or whatever the case may be. And so that's kind of the first component of customer success management is defining what success is. And then after that, we're going to deliver it. And same thing, 3 Ds is where we're going with this thing. So define it, deliver it, and then demonstrate to me that you've done so. And that's where your business reviews, reporting, benchmarking, even the Spotify Wrapped 2022 campaign. Anybody got that? A few of you do? Yeah, that is an annual business review done at massive scale that shows you the value that you've been getting for your $9 or $10 a month last year so that you don't cut Spotify out at the end of the year. And they make advocates out of you because you then go share it on social media. And that's an example of customer success. They're doing the 3rd D of defining the value you've gotten. So that's how I define what customer success is. Define, deliver, and demonstrate whatever success is to me, but it's really at its core about the outcome. And we heard that earlier this morning, the business outcomes, and making sure that the customers are achieving whatever it is they're looking to achieve in terms of goals, milestones, etc. So you can think of customer success as kind of the destination, and then customer experience is the journey. It's how I'm going to get you to that destination. And you can think of different industries that when there was only one player, only one way for me to, for example, get a ride from point A to point B from a stranger, i.e. taxi cabs, they didn't have to worry about customer experience. But once there was one other way for me to achieve that outcome, and it obviously had a vastly improved experience, right? I could order it on the app, and I can communicate with the driver. They give me a bottle of water. They ask me what kind of music I want to listen to, give me some mints when I get in, all that stuff of Uber. It just obliterates the entire industry. So ultimately, what will create winners and losers is customer experience, as long as there's more than one way for me to achieve that outcome. And so that's how I define the difference there, destination versus journey. And then customer support is really about the reactive, tactical nature of my relationship with you. Customer success management should be proactive and strategic. And so you could think of it with Netflix. Netflix doesn't wait for you to come in and search for what you want to watch next. They go ahead and recommend what you're going to want to watch next based on all of your viewing habits and behaviors. Down to the millisecond, they're paying attention. And then they use that data, surface that up on what you're going to want to, and proactively recommending what you want next, as opposed to customer support would be, when you search for it, let me bring it up as quickly as possible. Fix the problem, put out the fire, solve the bug, whatever the case may be. That's customer support. So customer support, reactive and tactical. Customer success, proactive and strategic, and really about the destination versus the journey. That's how I define all three of them. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah? I see some nodding heads. That's always a good sign, John.
So, obviously then there's similarity, there's differences, there's nuances between them, but each obviously, and you kind of said, they're part of this evolution or this confluation of the experience. So when you think about overall satisfaction or the objectives of customer feelings and loyalty and things of that nature, how do you feel that they fit together within that strategy, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. So we've heard a lot over the last couple of days about moments that matter. I've also heard that referred to as moments of truth. These are those very important moments through your life cycle, and whether you sell transactionally and you need customers to come back and buy your things a bunch of times, or you have a subscription-based business where you're getting a little bit of revenue over time, doesn't matter. Through that journey, there's all of these moments that really matter. Like for me, an example was Hyundai. You guys have probably all seen the ads, 100,000 miles, 10-year warranty, right? And I have owned a Hyundai for 8.5 years. I've got my wife and our 3 kids, or 2 of the 3 kids, luckily only 2. The 16-year-old was not with us, because I'll come back to that in a second. And the dog, and we're headed from the coast in Oregon back to Portland where we live. I'm going up a hill, passing another car, and it just dies. And so we limp to the side of the road. The entire engine is shot. At 85,000 miles and 8.5 years of ownership, I get it towed to the dealer. For sure there's going to be a loophole to this 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty promise. Lo and behold, it was not. That was a big-time moment of truth. I will go in front of crowds, tell this story all the time. Had they found a loophole, I would still tell the story. I would just tell it in a very different way, right? And so they've created an advocate out of me, and now I spread this news to people all over the world. So that's an example of a moment of truth. That in itself is a micro customer journey. Every support interaction we have, every service interaction, we heard all the omni-channel approaches, and yesterday we heard about the concept of, when you talk to your wife at home and then you text with her and then you this and you that, or your partner, whoever, the conversation is fluid. It continues from one channel to the next. That's a really impressive way to look at your customer journey. Every single one of those with our customers is in itself its own little micro journey and its own moment that matters. It in itself has an outcome that they're looking to achieve and a way they want to achieve it. Don't make me wait on hold. All of the things that go into impressive, omni-channel customer experience and customer support, those in themselves have their own desired outcomes and their own desired experience. In other words, they have their own definition of success. And so you could almost get into like an M.C. Escher kind of painting where it just goes like, wait, so support is part of success, which is part of support, and experience is in there through the whole thing. You got your entire customer journey and that whole experience, but you've got all these little mini experiences through their life cycle with you as well. And in every single one of those, they've got that definition of success. So they work hand in hand. I like to say that CS and CX are 2 sides of the same coin. We're working collectively to get the customer what they want. We have slightly variant, like nuanced focus, right? Destination versus journey, but they should be very tightly knit in an effective tag team at your organizations.
So, thinking through that, there's got to be some, what are the tangible impacts to businesses that get this right? What would you say those would be?
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have all seen that, right? The companies and organizations who have impressive customer service, customer success, customer experience, and those that don't. I mean, higher NPS, higher CSATs should be relative to additional revenue. You're creating advocates. That's the other thing in customer success management that we want to focus on, is how can we create advocates out of our customers so that we can actually generate net new revenue, net new logos, business units, whatever the case may be, while not having to market to them, right? If I can have someone go out and speak positively about me and say, he had ugly pants, but what that guy said made sense, you should check out his website, then I've now created an advocate out of you. That person that you talk to is a referral lead that comes into my world that had no way to know that I even existed. I didn't have to do outbound, inbound, pay-per-click, SEO, all the things. And so the companies that get this right, both experience and success, are going to keep customers longer, have them expand more often. So you got cross-sell and upsell. And then, of course, that holy grail, I like to call it, of customer success management, the referral advocate. And that's where we can actually generate that top of funnel net new revenue at a much less expensive customer acquisition cost. In fact, about 1/13 the price for your organization versus typical MQLs and SQLs. We have this concept of CSQLs, customer success qualified leads. Those cost your organization a lot less. So if you are in a repeatable revenue model, it offsets a lot of your risk in order to, now I have to keep that customer X amount of months to overcome the acquisition cost. Well, that X just came down quite a bit. And if you sell in a transactional model, you're going to have those customers coming back more often. And so the companies that get it right are going to have higher margins, faster deal times, higher conversion rates. Sales loves it. Marketing loves it because we should actually be helping them refine who they market to, how they market. As we live in the post-sale world, we learn the good fit, stretch fit, bad fit customers, and we should surface those back up to our marketing partners, and so they can actually be more efficient with the targets that they go after. Sales gets faster deals, like I said, and then everything in the post-sale should just be that much more smooth, more efficient, and again, focusing on that holy grail of that advocacy play. That's where it's really all about.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges a lot of us in the CX world struggle with a little bit is that everything you talked about, if I change the experience or the success or the service, directionally, I think we all agree those things happen. Better sales, better revenue, less churn, but truly showing the math associated to a non-CX person who wants it to be perfectly correlated is difficult. A lot of this is inference and influence and a certain level of prediction or directional impact. Have you found any ways that that can take a more tangible case for a lot of organizations that might struggle for that ROI to make that connection?
Yeah, 100%. We see that all the time in customer success as well. 90% of the customer's lifetime value is post-sale in the subscription economy. Why don't we get the seat at the revenue table? And it's frankly because of that issue. How do you tie what you do, and that has historically been seen as an overhead expense to the business, right? Support, post-sale, delivery, operations, et cetera, and look at it and tie it directly to revenue. And I've taken a stab at it. I've got an article on Red Slacks called RAC versus CAC, so revenue acquisition cost, as opposed to customer acquisition cost. Because within any given customer account, and this is really designed for B2B, but it would apply for direct-to-consumer as well, you've got 5 revenue streams. You've got that net new revenue, very first time they buy something from you, that it went through the MQL and SQL channels, transition from the top of the funnel to the bottom. Then you've got upsell expansion revenue. So that's where they're buying more of the same thing, or maybe buying something a little more expensive instead of you're upselling them, right? You've got cross-sell expansion revenue. That's where they're buying another thing. So they liked the first thing, and so now they're buying that next thing, right? You've got your renewal revenue, where they come back and buy the same thing again. And then finally, you've got that advocate referral revenue. And so tracking all 5 of those revenue streams and associating an acquisition cost to them allows customer experience leaders to look back and say, look, here's actually the number that we affected across all of the different revenue streams. And the reason the 5 are important to track is because they all have different overhead. And frankly, you have a different impact on each of those 5. We don't have a whole lot. We might have a little bit to do with that net new, right? Make the sales process frictionless, make the marketing in line with my values and my outcomes, et cetera. But we don't have as much to do with that as we do renewal revenue, expansion revenue, and the advocate revenue. And tracking that back to what we call, again, that CSQL, or you could call it a CXQL, a customer experience qualified lead, and really being able to point back and say, here's how we affected each of those revenue streams within that account, helps us at least paint that picture. I did a keynote in London a few months ago where I don't know, do you guys have Bob Ross up here, the painter? Boy, that fell flat in London. They don't know anything about that dude. I had a big thing, so my company, the Success Coaching Company, actually, our logo is a donkey with a plunger on its head, and it's a play on a unicorn. And I had a plunger on Bob Ross's head thinking, this is going to land, and they're like, we don't know who that is, dude. We don't get it. But that's the whole point of that slide was we need to paint the revenue picture, and that's how you can do it. It starts with tracking it. For us at Success Coaching, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer, so I'm always thinking about what we do and how we tie it to revenue. I can track it across 2 different fields in our CRM, lead source and then deal type. And basically a combination of those 2 tells me, was it net new revenue or was it one of the other 4 streams that I can point back to my CS team and say, look at you've actually attributed X dollars to our top line revenue this year, this quarter, what have you.
Yeah, awesome. So any questions? I have a couple more, but any questions at this point? I know I'm not out there. All right, one right here.
Couple around.
Actually, and then one over here.
Yeah, just awesome info so far. Could you just repeat the 5 revenue streams that you're keeping track of? Because you're going fast, but you're doing a great job.
Yeah, sorry, I talk fast. I know. So you got your net new, right? I like to just say that's the first time this person bought this thing. I always, again, chicken brain. I have to make things like, stupidly easy. Renewal revenue, the subsequent times the same person bought the same thing. Expansion cross-sell, so that's other things, same person buying other things. Expansion upsell, so paying more for the same thing. So if I raise my prices at your renewal and you retain as a customer, I've got renewal revenue, which matches my initial deal size, and then I've got that upsell revenue for that difference. And then the 5th one would be the advocate referral revenue. And again, if you go to Red Slacks, check out that RAC article on there. There's a diagram that I developed years ago with another company I founded. It was called RevDev, stood for Revenue Development. And that company exited, and the intellectual property is now in a class I teach called outcome-based selling. And with that, there's actual visualization of those 5 revenue streams on there. So yeah, encourage you to check that out.
So thinking about support specific, actually, we did have one more over here. I forgot. Sorry.
Same question, the 3 customer types that you had. Could you just explain that again, and then tell me why the 3 customer types that you mentioned?
Oh, I don't think I mentioned 3 customer types, did I?
Or the buckets.
The 3 Ds, I talked about that.
No, you said great customers,
Stretch
good customers.
fit, stretch fit, bad fit, maybe. Was I talking?
Yeah, so can you explain that a bit more and why you can't be all things to all people?
Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at there is your ideal customer profile, right? Your ICP, and that's typically developed in your marketing team. And we heard about those yesterday, right? It's Billy the buyer and Willie the worrier and whatever the case may be, right? It's the people that you believe you can solve problems for. They typically match kind of your value proposition and your go-to-market strategy. But when we live in the post-sale part of the business, see, marketing is pre-sale. They don't actually. It's all promises, right? Same thing with sales. It's all promises. There's no delivery until you get to that post-sale part. And that's where we have to actually live up to it. And in that experience, we learn those good fit, stretch fit, bad fit customers. And it's our job to surface that back up to marketing. We can't expect them to know. And in fact, if we're marketing the same way today as we did a year ago, we've just missed out on a year's worth of data to learn from and be more succinct with how we go after the market. And we want to really be as efficient as possible because that's the most expensive way to acquire a customer, your MQLs and SQLs. Most businesses spend on average 40% of their available capital at the top of that funnel. I've got to do a ton of outbound, inbound, pay-per-click, blog posts, billboards, phone calls, knocking on doors, wearing red pants, going to conferences. I got to do a ton of that to even create demand generation. And from there, some of them will actually be interested in what I'm selling, some will not. So then those are the ones who move up into my sales funnel. They're evaluating me against my competition and the value proposition against the outcome they're looking to achieve, et cetera. And then some of those yet will decide to become a customer. So it's this really inefficient game at the top of the funnel there, and that's why it's so expensive. But if we can surface up those stories on who those good fit, stretch fit, and maybe even bad fit customers are, we can help marketing be more efficient with how we target the market, and thus be more efficient with that 40% of our spend that we're doing. And that's part of the customer success motion as well. Customer success, at its core, should be a philosophy of a business growth strategy that is predicated on customer centricity. You've heard that a lot the last couple of days, that term. And that's the overlap of customer experience and customer success. It's really about being customer-centric, but we want to look at it and say, we're going to actually build our business this way. We're going to focus on how to generate those net new leads through the advocacy plays, for example, based on who that perfect fit, stretch fit, and maybe even a bad fit customer isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if I have time here to go into it, but essentially, if you can take a stretch or bad fit customer, make them successful, you may have just broken into a new industry or a new government or a new geography or whatever made them a difficult stretch or bad fit customer at the beginning can open up a blue ocean for you to go fish within as you move into that market, conceivably. We've done that at Success Coaching as well, but like I said, I don't have time to get into all that. But yeah, good fit, stretch fit, bad fit customers relative to the ideal customer profile.
Hi, Aaron. First of all, you're living my dream job, public speaking on customer service and customer experience, and I'm really interested to hear your insights. You talked a lot about creating an advocate customer and creating that advocacy. I think it was Catherine who mentioned a moment where there was a typo on someone's name and then there was a quick recovery mechanism. What are your thoughts surrounding intentional micro errors and immediate recovery in order to create advocate customers and create those memorable moments versus doing everything right every time?
Oh, that's an interesting concept, to actually have moments of failure on purpose. That's kind of what we're getting at. I wouldn't necessarily shoot for that. I would want to recover from moments that just organically happen as quickly as possible. But I wouldn't intentionally do that unless, what comes to mind is what I call the pendulum theory. So when you go live with a new customer, everything's fine, it just kind of is what it is. That pendulum of sentiment just kind of hanging out there. And then something horrible happens. For me, it was years ago, T-Mobile was my customer. Our product was mission critical for their call centers. They had 20,000 people, 21 hours a day on our product, taking phone calls or in the retail stores. We brought it down. And all of a sudden, their call logs were just backing up. They estimated it was about $1 million in productivity every 5 minutes that this particular product was down. So now the sentiment swings all the way over to bad, mad, whatever you want to call it. And it's important in those moments to reset our mindset that just like everything in life, with every challenge comes an opportunity. And if we can get that moment right, we can actually swing them to a place of good, happy, better than they maybe would have ever gotten had we not gone through the hard time. Now, I wouldn't have wanted to do that to my customer, bring it down and cause them that kind of backlog. But when we're there, instead of thinking, oh man, this sucks, poor me, I'm so mad, why did we do this, whatever, just reset it and see, oh, this is an opportunity. My best friend and I didn't become best friends until we punched each other in the face on the beach. And then after that, we were buddies. every relationship, you go through hard times and you can actually come out in a better position. And so I don't know that I would intentionally do anything like that, but I think that was an auto check, like misspelling of their name. My wife's name is Tiffany, and she spells it with an I at the end. And so I'm sure it's impressive for her when she doesn't get misspelled and typos. I could totally empathize with that story from this morning. So I wouldn't necessarily put it on purpose, but I definitely agree that if you can close the ticket, fix the bug, get me through that bad time, we can actually end up in a better place than we would have been had we not gone through it.
Yeah, J.D. Power did some research that did say when you recover from a bad situation, satisfaction actually rises from that perspective. But and here's the reality: we all screw up too much. It's too easy to do that. So it is really about recovery. It's about the closed loop, whether that's recovery and closed loop of surveys or more predictive. We've been talking a lot about text analytics or journey analytics to predict an outcome and leveraging that as well. So, other questions?
Well, I've got one other point on that, actually, and then, yeah, let's go here. Make no mistake, though, when you fix the bug, close the ticket, put out the fire, you did not provide me any value. I did not come to you as a customer because I wanted that bug to be fixed quickly. I didn't want that bug in the first place. You've gotten yourself back to square one, and hopefully done so very quickly, and it can raise the satisfaction scores, but it in itself is not value. Service level agreements, initial response times, bugs opened and closed, support tickets taken and managed, not value. That's not why customers come to us. That's all kind of table stakes on the support piece, and we need to do it well, but customer support, reactive and tactical, rolling up underneath customer experience, customer support, success, it in itself is about getting back to square one, even if it does actually have some positive impacts on satisfaction surveys. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Do you have a microphone?
Oh, we lost our microphone
Right
runner.
up front here.
They just didn't think I would ever stop talking, and so they were just like, all right, I can sit down.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the things that I find is that, so you go into a project, you set your outcomes, you deliver on that, you get the outcome desired, and you deliver with excellence, and then the team switches, and they come in and they go, who is this? And, all of a sudden you go from hero to bum. Or other scenarios would be, you work with someone, they have these initial objectives, you deliver those objectives, and then they move the cheese. They basically say, yeah, but I want this, right? So maybe you could share your insights on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So customer experience, customer success, never done. If it ever is, you better be expecting that customer to leave, because that means there's no longer an outcome for them to achieve. So I've got to always have something that I'm getting from value. I might love you on the customer experience side, but if I don't have the pain to relieve anymore, or the gain to achieve, I like things that rhyme too, so pains to relieve or gains to achieve, that's kind of what the outcomes always boil down to. If I don't still have that need, I'm not going to continue paying you just because I love you, right? And so that's how those two kind of work together. But when you get a new executive stakeholder, for example, I coach my teams, that is no longer a post-sale customer. If I've got an executive changeover, they are now in the evaluate stage, in the top of the funnel, and if you go to Red Slacks and check out that article, you'll find the drawing I'm kind of mentally thinking of here. But we have to resell to that new executive, and it's not selling on the capital or the revenue, that's probably already been spent. It's selling them on their time, vastly more precious resource than money. Right? We don't look at the money as our money. It's my budget, it's my company's money, et cetera, but we always look at time personally. It's always my time, and I'm investing that time with you, and being really conscious of that and really seeing it as this is actually back in the sales cycle. We have to resell this account and find those pains and those outcomes that this new person has, and if they don't have them, like the other person did, or they love your competition, or whatever the case may be, that's a tough spot to be, but it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that.
All right, help me thank Aaron for great feedback. Thank you,
Sean.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, everybody.